You're listening to Chapter 10 of The Day Evacuation Order Went Up. Aiko's 6 days before camp. This episode is part of Stories from Camp, a continuing series of Japanese-American narratives told as quiet nighttime historical dramas. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and listen to the next chapter or the whole story on our YouTube channel or your podcast player. If you'd like to hear more, you can explore the rest of the library on our channel. Chapter 10, Quiet Resolve. Night settled over the apartment with a stillness that felt deeper than silence. The argument had faded into memory, leaving behind a thin, tender quiet. Aiko stepped into her room and closed the door softly, though the hinges still gave their usual sigh. Moonlight filtered through the curtains in a faint silver line, falling across the half-packed suitcase waiting near her bed. She sank to the tatami beside it, exhaling a breath she had been holding since morning. The suitcase lay open like a question she hadn't yet answered. Clothing folded in neat stacks filled half of it. Beneath the layers sat the essentials: comb, handkerchiefs, socks tucked into the corners for efficiency. Everything practical. Everything chosen with care. Still, the suitcase felt incomplete, as though something meaningful remained unspoken. Aiko reached for her scarf hanging on the peg near the window. It was a soft blue cotton with small white flowers stitched along the edges. Her mother had sewn it for her last winter, when the cold snapped sharper than usual. Aiko wrapped it around her shoulders now, letting the fabric settle against her skin. It felt grounding, simple, warm, familiar. She folded the scarf slowly, pressing her fingers along the crease, smoothing it with a tenderness she rarely allowed herself. The motion steadied her thoughts. She felt the lingering heaviness from the day, the whispered fears in the market, her father's worn expression, her mother's quiet tremble when she thought no one watched. All of it rested in her chest like a knot that refused to loosen. Aiko set the scarf into the suitcase, fitting it between the folded sweaters. The moment the fabric touched the others, something shifted inside her, a small, quiet resolve that rose from someplace deeper than fear. She didn't know what the camp would be like. She didn't know what systems would greet them or how much comfort they would find there. But she sensed that she needed to carry this piece of herself into that unknown space, something soft enough to remind her of home, something chosen deliberately rather than forced. Her eyes drifted to the small wooden box on her nightstand, the one where she kept the letters from her school friends, old ticket stubs, paper cranes from festivals. She opened it gently. Inside lay fragments of the life she still claimed, each item holding a memory that helped shape her. She took out a single paper crane and held it between her fingers. The crisp fold along the wings caught the light. This crane had been given to her by a boy in her class, during a week when both of them stayed late helping decorate for an assembly. The memory surfaced with tenderness, not romantic, not dramatic, just warm. She traced the edge of the wing and felt a small ache. She wondered if he would think of her after she was gone. She wondered if he had his own crane tucked away somewhere too. Aiko placed the crane inside her scarf, hiding it between the folds like a quiet secret. She closed the suitcase halfway and sat back, resting her palms against the cool tatami. She listened to the faint hum of the city outside, the distant buzz of a streetcar, the soft murmur of someone's radio playing far off, the creak of floorboards as neighbors moved about their own hurried tasks. These sounds had always been part of her life. Now each one felt like a goodbye she hadn't asked for. Yet beneath the sorrow, she felt a growing clarity, She had spent the last days balancing her mother's caution and her father's hope, holding steady for her siblings, absorbing the uncertainty across the neighborhood. She had done it quietly, without ceremony. Tonight she understood that none of it diminished her. It shaped her. She didn't know how she would hold herself in the camp, whether she would feel brave, or angry, or simply tired. But she knew she would enter as someone who could bend without breaking. Someone who could care for others without losing her own center. Someone who could make space for fear and still move forward. Aiko reached for the suitcase and pressed the lid down gently, not locking it yet, just signaling completion for the night. She brushed her fingertips across its surface, tracing the worn fabric, letting the gesture settle her mind. The moonlight glinted against the metal clasp. The room felt calmer now. She felt calmer now. She stood, stretched her stiff shoulders, and moved toward the door. She paused with her hand on the frame, sensing the stillness around her, feeling the quiet resolve settle deeper. She was not ready for what waited ahead, but readiness was not the point. She would go, and she would endure, and she would remain herself. And that, she decided, would be enough. Thank you for listening to Chapter 10 of The Day Evacuation Order Went Up. Aiko's 6 days before camp. This episode is part of Stories from Camp, a continuing series of World War II Japanese-American narratives told as quiet, nighttime historical dramas. If you like this narrative storytelling, please like, subscribe and listen to the next chapter or the whole story on our YouTube channel, or your podcast player if you'd like to hear more. You can explore the rest of the library on our channel. And if you're a storyteller or creator who wants to collaborate with us, you can reach out anytime at redressradio.com.